my name is Angela Anderson. Thank you for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I am going to be showing you how to put together all the parts that we learned in the first two videos, how to do clouds and how to do foliage. And we're going to put together a landscape for you in this video. So the materials that we'll need for this project are a stretch canvas. I've got the Strathmore 11 by 14 inch stretch canvas here, and I'm going to be using a variety of Princeton brushes. This is the Aspen 2-inch Mottler. We'll be needing that for our background for sure. And then for our foliage and grasses, we'll need either a fan brush or a Deerfoot Stippler or both. I think we're probably going to use all of these. And then I've also got some of the short-handled Aspen script liner, the number 6 flat, the number 4 Filbert, and the number 2 round. And then I've also got a blender and an angle shader in the Velvet Touch in size 3/8 inch. I'm also going to be using the Maimeri Polycolor paints for this on my palette, kind of in rainbow order. I've got burnt umber, burnt sienna, yellow ochre, brilliant yellow, permanent yellow medium, rose pale, primary red magenta, brilliant violet, phthalo blue, ultramarine, turquoise blue, phthalo green, chrome oxide green, titanium white, carbon black, and some zinc white. The first thing I did was paint the background with a light coat of magenta and let that dry. Then I used the Aspen flat Mottler to pick up some white and paint that at the horizon, blending it up into the phthalo blue at the top of the canvas. I show how to do that in part 1. Then I used it to paint some green using the chrome green and a little bit of yellow to paint the foreground. Then I let the canvas dry completely, pick up the Aspen short handle flat, and use a little bit of that sky blue color, add a little bit more of the ultramarine blue and some white, and painted the mountains in with that. Using the sky color gives it an illusion of depth. Then I picked up some ultramarine and some black and a little bit of my green and created a dark green and used the blender brush to paint in some little scrubby bushes at the horizon. Then mix up a little bit more of the light green, some white and green and a little bit of yellow to blend out the bottom of those bushes in the background there. And then use a little bit deeper green, do a side-to-side motion with this blender brush to create some planes of grass in your foreground. We're going to be adding flowers later. This brush makes it really easy and just kind of do this side-to-side zigzag motion. Then we're going to be using a Deerfoot Stippler with a little bit of white. I show how to do this in part 1 if you want to watch back. But basically, you're just letting the brush do the work. Very little paint on the brush and just scrub in a circular motion to create your clouds. Keep them nice and light and wispy, and you can always add more paint later if you want to. You can also use a blender brush for this and just go back and forth and dry brush these little clouds in there. Makes it super easy. Once we finish our clouds, then we can start on our tree. I'm grabbing my script liner, the short handle Aspen, mix up a dark brown using black and burnt umber, and some water. Make sure you add lots of water to this so that that paint flows fluidly off the brush. Makes it really easy to get nice thin lines no matter what size round brush you're using. If your brush is not painting thin lines, then try adding a little bit more water, and that often will work and help the paint flow more easily off the brush. Just paint in your branches, tapering them out so that they get thinner as they go out towards the edges of the tree. I show how to do this in part 2 as well, if you want to watch back. Then I'm grabbing the short Aspen fan and putting in some grasses using a dark green. I added some phthalo green to that tree trunk color, that dark brown, and now I'm tapping it using very short motions. I'm not wanting big grasses in that background area. Just some very small little tapping motions is all you need to do. Then as you come towards the foreground and the front of the canvas, you can use a little bit longer brush strokes and do a little bit bigger grasses. Now I'm picking up some of my dark green, a little bit of turquoise and phthalo blue, and I'm tapping in my shadowed areas on my tree using that Deerfoot Stippler. I show how to do this in part 2, so if you want to check back with that video, I go into a little bit more detail about how to do this. But basically you're looking at where the darkest areas of your tree are going to be, and you're tapping in this dark color there. Then I'm grabbing some of that chrome green, mixing that in to this color, and then tapping that along the upper parts of the tree. The sun is overhead in this landscape, so we're going to be putting our lighter colors toward the top of our tree and just tapping in where I think the light might be hitting my tree. Then grabbing some white and some yellow. I like to add yellow whenever I'm mixing whites into green. Keeps the color more vibrant. And think about where the direction the sunlight's hitting, using the tip of this brush and just tapping in lightly and adding in all of the highlights on our tree. Now I'm going to switch back to the fan brush and use this light green color to add some highlights to my field of grass, and just tap, very short little tapping motions, and this brush makes it really easy to get the feeling of grass just by kind of tapping back and forth. Make sure as you're approaching the horizon line, you do very thin and wispy little short brush strokes. That will help the illusion of distance. Now I'm grabbing my short-handled number 2 round and mixing in some light gray using that background tree trunk color plus a little bit of white, and just doing little tiny brush strokes where I want some light hitting my tree there, just giving it a little bit of highlight. And also using it to create some grasses in the foreground that are a little bit more detailed with that lighter green. Now I'm grabbing my angle brush with some magenta. I like using my angle brush to do little dotted flowers and things because it holds a lot more paint than a smaller brush would. So I use it and just point the tip downward and tap, tap away. It makes great little flowers, and your eye will interpret the scene for you. So you don't have to put a lot of detail in these kind of paintings. When your eye sees a tree in a field with some clouds and then you see some color on the ground, your brain will automatically interpret those little colorful dots as flowers. All you have to do is do these little tiny dots. I'm using some light pink now and some white and adding even more. The flowers grow in little clusters, so make sure you're kind of clustering your dots together, but keep them sort of flat and horizontal toward the bottom. That helps with that illusion of depth. And then I'm using my small short-handled round brush here and adding some little daisy petals. Just little dots of yellow in a circle, and then we'll add some burnt sienna little dots to the center to finish them. You don't have to put a lot of detail into these. I decided to add another little cloud off to the side to kind of fill in the sky on that area using the white and my Deerfoot Stippler. Then using the angle brush again and some light green, added a little bit more yellow this time and some more white, and just dabbing in some little detailed leaves on our tree. You can leave this step out if you don't need any more detail on your tree, but I think it adds a little bit extra something. And there we have it. We've got our completed landscape. I know you can do this. I hope you try it. This is definitely doable, very easy, and I show you step by step how to do it in these videos. Check out my YouTube videos if you want to learn more. And thank you to Princeton, Maimeri, Strathmore for inviting me to do these videos with them. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for watching. Bye.